Good evening, everyone. Today we have the privilege of sitting down with Mr. Christopher, an experienced journalist with a wealth of knowledge in crisis communication. Christopher, thank you for joining us. But before we start, can you introduce yourself and tell me about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a journalist with the Star. I'm mainly at the tech desk, so I cover stuff that happens in the tech industry. So in relation to what you guys want to talk about, which is like crisis communication, mostly relating to like data breaches or government policy changes, right? Where companies have to react to that sort of thing. So mainly what we want to do is like we report on this sort of thing, we inform the public, and effectively it's just journalistic content effectively.
Okay, I see. That's good to know. Okay, so let's dive right in from your experience.
Mhm.
Can you share with us any crisis you have covered or faces as a journalist? What were the key aspects of the crisis, and what was your role in covering it?
Okay, so I've covered quite a few of these sorts of like events, right? But since I'm mostly in the tech side of things, they're all like mostly linked to data breaches and that sort of thing. So uh you guys familiar with Carousel?
Yes, I'm very familiar with Carousel.
Yeah, so the last year, I think it was late October, there was a news that there was apparently 2.6 million of their user data got breached, got uploaded online for sale. So we covered that, and let's see what the key aspect. Effectively, it was just a mass amount of data was being sold on a forum, and my role was effectively reporting on it and trying to get comments from Carousel side to see what they had to say. Let's see, there was also the iPay 88 thing from last year where the credit card data was also leaked. Similar story. It was the same forum. People are trying to sell the data, and we got to do what we got to do to report this sort of thing. Uh, let's see, what else did we do? There was the ransomware attack from AirAsia last. Wait, this was also last year. Let's see. Oh, so this was similarly last year. Remember during the election, right? There was news that the MySPR website got apparently 800,000 Malaysians, their personal data got stolen with photos of them and whatnot, of IC, addresses, contact number, everything. So that was apparently being sold online as well. Yeah, mainly we touch on that sort of thing, on data breaches on our side, since we mainly look at tech. So yeah, there was a thing with DNB also, Digital National Berhad, the company in charge of 5G.
Yes, we have
Yeah.
heard about it.
Yeah, so this was earlier this year where Fahmi Fazil, the Minister for Communications and Digital, there was I think DNB said that, oh, we've achieved 50% coverage of 5G in Malaysia. And Fahmi was like, no, you guys got to tell us where these numbers came from. Where did this come from? And basically, DNB had to scramble to figure out how to explain themselves. And it turned out what happened was that, oh, we have the equipment set up for 50% coverage, but only 38% is active. So like, that sort of thing. It's one of those like that's one of the less common ones. It's more towards data breaches for us anyway lah. There was another one where there was journalists who were complaining, not really complaining, they criticized MCMC on they apparently had blocked a news website. This was back a few months ago, and they were saying that you can't stifle freedom of speech and whatnot. And MCNC responded to that, saying that they are entrusted to uphold the Communication and Multimedia Act. Yeah, so that sort of thing. Yeah, but mainly it's the reporting process and obtaining statements. That's what I do. So we spot these sort of stories happening. We notice the development. We follow things and make sure we gather as much as accurate information as possible, condense it, and publish it.
Okay. So you have faced many crises before, and you successfully managed to encounter it with right track, right?
I wouldn't say we meant most of the time, though, because sometimes, right, there's situations where we are unable to properly respond to such crisis. Like earlier this year, there was a whole thing on Rapid KL, right? There was news that Rapid KL were unable to reload touch and go cards at their stations, at the LRT stations. And we're like, okay, why? They never gave a reason. So their social media platforms they were very quiet about it. They just informed people that we can't do this at certain locations. They never said why. But we saw that a user had tweeted at them on Twitter saying that, oh, can you tell us why? And their social media manager, we think, said that there was a ransomware attack which blocked usage of this. But that tweet was deleted after that. So we couldn't report on it because, for one, we need a statement from the company that's responsible reporting. We can't just follow rumors and report on that. It's, the main thing what we want to do is report accurate information. So without the statement from everyone involved, we can't really do that. We can't just say, oh, we heard this, we heard that. It's got to be accurate.
True, true, true. Yeah, we need to have solid source of problems before we release it to the public, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Mr. Azra will ask you the question.
Hello.
Hello, hi, Mr. Christopher. Okay, we move on to the next question, right? Could you describe the role you see media practitioners playing in crisis communication, and how do you believe effective communication can help during challenging situation?
So the main thing about crisis communication in my field, right? Because technology is our main area. Is that whenever rumors go around, whenever this kind of thing happens, whenever my data got leaked or whatever, right? The first thing we need to do is make sure this is legit. So if this means we got to download suspicious files or data and go through everything or double check and cross-reference it and be like, okay, this is real data, but this is the same data that was released 4 years ago. So this is that kind of thing. It's making sure things are new, making sure that things are real. Like I had a colleague who got a report. I think you might be familiar. There's this Facebook group called Pendakwa Technology, right? So what they do is that they report on a lot of ongoing stuff in tech. And there was a user from that group who said that, oh, there's child pornography being sold on this place, right? And we were like, okay, great. It's not a good thing, but okay, we want to report on this. It's important. But we need to make sure that this is actually being done. This is real. So that is one of the biggest roles we as media people have. It's validating claims. It's that, oh, this something bad is happening here. So we need to prove, not really prove, we need to have statements that show that it actually is happening. We can't just report freely. Like if some guy off the street says that, oh, this is happening right now, if we can't just simply go and report it, we need to make sure that it really is happening. So I think that's one of the biggest roles that media people have. So in crisis communication, it's all about us finding the issue, us going to the company or whoever is involved with the issue, the government, the company, the ministry, right? And at least checking with them, oh, this is a valid issue. And if they really, because it's not just, oh, we need to rely on them to say it's a real issue. It's that, oh, if there's an accident, it's a real accident. Oh, if there's data out there, it's really data out there, right? So the main thing here is that we want to make our due diligence, we gotta at least reach out to them. And if they refuse to give comments, then we're like, okay, this is an important story. We need to publish it anyway, that sort of thing. And in that regard, communication is a big part of things. So whenever we see a database being leaked somewhere, we first need to communicate with the people who found that data leak in the first place. Okay, where did you find this? Who is selling it? What happened, right? And then we've got to reach out to the people who owns the data or the people who are supposed to keep the data safe. So it's like, okay, so there's this a bunch of claims on data being leaked. Are you aware of this? Have you done anything about it? Are you, is it real? So we got to do our due diligence to make sure that this side of thing, this situation can be resolved. Because, like I said, we can't just report things freely. We need to make sure things are real. We need to make sure that, companies have the ability to give a statement if they want to. Yeah. So that's the thing, of course, we've had cases where companies just don't give comments. They just opt not to say anything. Or where they say, oh, we'll get back to you, but it takes a while to get back to us. We don't know how long this will take. So we have publishing deadlines to meet, and we've made sure we've done our due diligence, and if there's a need, we will update our story. We'll say, okay, when we first published this, this details weren't there, but now the company has gotten back to us. Their PR representative has been like, okay, this is what we are doing, this is the action we've taken, this is when it was all discovered. So this is important stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Christopher. What I conclude is we must have we cannot simply release what we call the news to the public because of due to the challenge that we as a journalist may face. Okay. To the next question. As a journalist, what are some of the most significant challenge you have encountered in your role as a media practitioner when or during covering crisis? And how you as a journalist address that challenge and overcome that challenge. Thank you.
Yeah. So the main thing, as I mentioned before, it's getting statements from both sides, from everyone involved, right? So there are times where we just don't hear back from the PR reps. They get back to us and we get silence. And that's a difficult time because, we can't get verification, we can't get confirmation, right? And if they just plain refuse to comment, that's when we are kind of like, okay, how do we proceed here? That's when we need to solve the problem, So we just have to treat it as unverified information, or we need to, flag this sort of thing to, ministries or government agencies to see what they have to say. Like when it was the IP88 one, let me go double check my article for that, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah. IP88. What did I write for that one? Undetected. Discovery of the issue, IP88. Yeah, so sometimes like cases where major national involvement happens, right? It's like, IP88, all our online transactions generally, not all, but a lot of online transactions go through IP88. So if they were to say, we don't want to give comment, well, that's a red flag. It's very dangerous because that involves your details, that's your credit card payments and whatnot. So then we get government people to talk, our MPs to say comments. Like even that time, Fahmi Fazil, he criticized the company on Twitter. He even gave comments. He said that let's see, he said that there's too many data leaks and too little data protection. So having experts like this weigh in, right, is where we can fill the gap. So when we know something has happened, but we can't get comments from the company itself. So that's the major thing. So one of the biggest issues is timelines that companies get back to us. So there are times where they just refuse to comment. There are times where they have to take hours or maybe even a day to go through the layers of management, right, just to give us a response. And that is tough because the news has to be new, it has to be recent. The recency matters here. So it's quite a big thing here, There's also times where like PR reps, right, the crisis comm people, they're not aware of things that happen. Sometimes they don't know that, there's been reports from other outlets or there's this whole batch of data being leaked, and they're like, what, that happened? Okay, we need to go check with our team. And them checking with their team takes a lot of time, which also, it doesn't mesh well with the news cycle, with what we need to do. So when that happens, the company wants to defend itself. They want to have a say, right? But if you can't form a response, well, how are we going to let you give a say? That's important because, this stuff has to do with how you're responding to it. Because the consumer, the people reading our news will be like, okay, you've told us that this is happening. So what about my data? What's happening? Who took it? What did they do? Otherwise, all they have to say is, man, this company, terrible. They didn't take care of my data. I hate this company. And, what are they going to, should I stop using the platform? Are they going to protect my data again in the future? Is the action going to be taken? This stuff just is left question marks. We want to tell people that, what kind of action will be taken? How will things be fixed? Because we can't just report, there's a problem. It's not a full story if we just say there's a problem. Because we need to have we don't want to have to do a follow-up story or don't want to have to update it. We just want to cover things as much as we can so that people know what's happening. So yeah.
Also, okay, so sometimes their companies clash information with you, right?
It's not so much clash, it's that they don't know it's happening in the first place.
But I want, based from what we learn, as far as we concerned, that as a PR practitioner, that they can't say no comment, right?
From your opinion, the words "no comments," is there something behind it, or it just
They want to
no
cover-
comment means nothing to share or nothing to say?
So we've had those kinds of we've had responses similar to that, like, oh, company decides not to respond at this time. We've gotten that before, and generally when we say that, that's all we can write. We'll say what you say, like, oh, when we reached when our publication Lifestyle Tech, Lifestyle Tech has reached out to, or what, to the name of the company or whatever, and they have declined to respond, or they have, or we are currently waiting a response, that kind of thing. So if they specifically say we will not respond, there's nothing much we can do besides say they refuse to respond, because that's what you said, So there's nothing much to go beyond that. Like, if you want to defend yourself, or if you want to give a response, address the issue, well, you got to address the issue. You can't just say we don't want to respond at this time, because this information is important. This information has to go out. So if you don't want to give your side of the information, well, the information is going to go out anyway. So
So I see. So you only write the news based on what their media practitioner told you about, lah.
no, we generally have a report of, okay, this is what happened, this is what we discovered, and this is what people have reported, right? And then this is the response from then we include a section for the company. They explain what happens. Like, okay, so we write, okay, this database was leaked on this date. It contains this much data. How many gigabytes or how many lines of data, what type of data it is, as passport, IC number, a bank account number, address, pictures of you, right? That kind of information. And then you say, then we get a quote from the company who says, all right, this data breach happened on May 31st. And it happened because of a misconfigured server or whatever, right? They'll say, this is why it happened. We will include that information to further explain the situation. They'd say, oh yes, we have since resolved the issue by bringing in further engineers to improve our cybersecurity, or we've changed our practices or changed whatever, right? It's how they've addressed the issue and will prevent it from happening again, or that sort of thing. So if they give that sort of response, we can publish it. Or if they just decide, at this moment we decline to respond, we'll be like, okay, if you decline to respond, okay, sure, just say you decline to respond and just continue on. Or if they want to say that we are currently investigating the issue, that's great. We can also put that as like, say company A has stated that it is currently investigating the issue with an estimated of when they'll be able to finish the investigation, that sort of thing.
Okay, sir.
Next question.
So for the next question, and this is our last question to you. From your experience, what suggestions or strategies do you have for fostering effective collaboration between organization and the media during crisis? And what are the key factors contribute to successful partnerships in crisis communication?
So when it comes to this sort of thing, right, the most important part is, being straightforward first, being truthful, because there's been times where we don't get a response, or they opt to not address the issue in the first place. Because let me see, there was there was a company thing, right, where they had a data breach. They didn't respond to us when we approached them. But what they did was they made a post to their Bursa Malaysia profile, right? And it says that, oh, the issue will not affect our earnings. They never addressed the actual concerns about data. They only addressed their investor concerns of, oh, this will not affect our earnings. We never, like, this sort of thing is not good for the media practitioner, because what we want is information about what happened to the data and what is being done to resolve it. If you're telling us that, oh, we won't affect our investors' bottom line, it's like, okay, great, that's good for your investors, but what about the people who are actually affected by your data breach? What happens to them? Because it's not, the data breaches are never like, oh, 10 people's data got breached. No, it's always 50,000, 800,000, 1 million, 5 million, the whole population. There was the whole I think it was a uh data breach last year, or 2022 or 2021. It was every Malaysian born between 1994 and 2004. 10 years of people being born. That's a huge amount of data. So if we don't have information on that, what happens to the people who are affected? It's important. So what these kinds of organizations need to do is they need to tell us. They need to be straightforward. They need to be on the ball. They can't just ignore the issue. They can't stay silent, because, for one, when they get a data breach like this, it's illegal for them to not address it under PDPA. The PDPA states you can't just ignore it. You got to do something about it. So, that's the facts. So it's being willing to tell us. You need to tell us. You need to be on top of things. Many times they wait, they discover this kind of thing internally, and they're like, okay, we'll fix it internally. Once we fix it, then we'll tell people that their data has been breached. How can you do that? My bank account is out there. It's been out there for 6 months. You took 6 months to fix the issue. How many times have I gotten a fake call from a scammer saying that, oh, your bank account number, 44 whatever, my whole bank account number has been involved in an illegal scam. Please transfer this money to me. I'm like, okay, crap, he knows all my details. He has to be legit. What happens to them? The amount of time it takes for them to fix this issue is the amount of time that all the data thieves, the hack, the scammers, the fraudsters, all of them, right? It's time for them to come and attack the user, the people. So you need to respond to this quick. You can't just wait for, oh, we fixed it, and use that as your announcement. We broke something, but we fixed it. What's the point of telling us you broke it, that you fixed it, when people have already been scammed? People have already been affected. So, bite the bullet. I know it looks bad, but here's the thing. It looks worse if you get your customer scammed. It looks much worse. So that's the thing. We want to report. You want to be reported on. It's this kind of media relationship has been going on all the time. Like, it's just how it works, So it's understanding each other's roles and understanding that your actions affect the people that you serve. So it's that kind of thing.
So what can I say, that this company is kind of just selfish, right? They
I
all-
wouldn't say selfish, but it's one of those, like, they have their priorities a bit misplaced,
Yeah.
because they don't want to address that, oh, we've made a mistake. They want to make it so that the story is, we made a mistake and we fixed it already. So the focus isn't that we made a mistake. The focus is, we fixed it, guys. It's okay. Everything's good. So it's that kind of misplaced, like, judgment, right? That, I think is not great for our reporting, because a follow-up story, right? It's kind of like, we don't want to report on it like that. But it's not that we don't want to report on it like that. It's that it's for the best, right? That we can get this information out as soon as possible. So, yeah.
But those investor and the customer also, they are stakeholders, right?
Okay, investors and so stakeholders and shareholders. So the investors are shareholders. Stakeholders are those affected by whatever happens. So that would be those surrounding them. So stakeholders, shareholders. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Christopher, have you ever done press release or media release, any relation with informing the public about what your company or other company do and ask you to do, like embargo release, something like that?
You mean me writing a release or covering a
yes.
release?
You writing a release.
No, that wouldn't be me. No, I'm a journalist side of things. I'm not with PR side.
Oh, press release PR side.
Yeah.
Mr. Christopher, I have one question. Usually, when you report on stories, I mean, official story like crash or uh, that is related to government and infrastructure, and they usually give a press release to you, or
It
you just attend the press conference and you report from the
uh
press conference.
so there's a few ways of handling it, right? So if it's something that happened in Parliament in Dewan Rakyat, right?
Hmm.
They'll normally we have to watch Dewan Rakyat. We'll watch it live or we'll watch a recording of it, and we work off that. So say one of the MPs from this location ask another MP about something else, right? Oh, MP from say Gombak will be asking the Ministry of Communications about why is my 5G connection bad? Are you going to do anything to improve the connection? And then their response will be whatever they're doing, right? So that is what we work off. We be like, okay, according to who and who, this there is plans to build 5G towers in this location or whatever like that, and we will directly quote from this Parliament statement. And sometimes the Parliament statement will be recorded by the ministry itself, and the ministry will send us the meeting minutes kind of thing, so that we have extra referential material. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, we can cover the baseline of it at Dewan Rakyat, and then they'll give a detailed version to us after that and say, okay, so this is the plan, this is how they're going to enact the plan. Like the breaking down the exact stuff to us later on. But once in a while, we also get invites to like government events or like big announcements, right? That's when we also cover those. So it varies, you know. Sometimes they send us a press release, sometimes they send us invites to go attend, you know, that sort of thing. I know that news desks, they work a lot based, I think the website, the Prime Minister's Office PMO website does have those press releases there. They're just publicly available. And that's what we also get sometimes if they just don't send it to us. So, you know, gonna make it work. Like if it's major events like, oh, Parliament, they're doing pembentangan budget, right, in Parliament, we have to watch that live. That is very busy time. So like this year's budget, they started streaming at 4 p.m. and we had it. I think it ran till like 6:30. So we were watching the whole time, and as we go, we're okay. This is important. We gotta write a story on this. So while Prime Minister is still speaking, we'll start contacting people. We'll start working on it immediately already. So this kind of thing, you know, it's quite busy.
So for a journalist, it's a very busy and packed schedule for you guys.
It
Every
depends.
time crisis or any hot news arise, right?
Yeah, because if you're aware, right, there was the whole news on Indonesia regulating TikTok, the streaming, that
TikTok
stuff.
shop.
Yeah, TikTok shop, and there was the discussion of should that be done here. So I didn't handle that story. My colleague handled that, right? So she was reaching out here and there, interviewing people who actually were selling on TikTok shop and interviewing people who are, you know, the involved people, and trying to get statements from everyone. So there's a varying level of complications for each story. So if you're during election, you have to sometimes they'll send us out to go cover election in another state. So you know there's a lot of stuff involved, effectively, because there's multiple kinds of journalists. I'm technically not really with hard news. I'm with lifestyle. I handle content with Star Lifestyle for technology. But even then, we still have to cover big news events on technology like 5G and AI stuff in the country. And when we are needed, we help cover elections, so we help cover budget, we help cover, you know, everything. So it's not just you do one thing. You have to move around a bit.
You have to move around a bit, but your specialty is on the lifestyle news, right?
Lifestyle
Okay.
technology.
Lifestyle
So
technologies.
lifestyle, they break it down into entertainment, they break it down to fashion, they break it down to technology, travel. So we are mostly technology.
So, in one news organization, they divided by department. This particular journalist do lifestyle, this particular journalist do crime, or they just assign you do lifestyle.
It depends on organization. So generally we have a news desk, we have a business desk, we have a lifestyle desk. It varies. Some I'm not sure how other publications does it, but for us that's how we do it.
Mr. Christopher, thank you for your sharing and your insight and experience in crisis communication. It is clear that your role as a journalist is multifaceted and plays a crucial part in keeping the public informed during challenging times.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, sweet. All right, all the best, guys. I hope you guys can work on your project.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher.
Wait, I want to take a picture.
Picture.
Sure.
Okay. Benda ni. Screenshot lah. We need to... Okay.
Just screenshot. Okay.
Okay, thanks,
Okay,
Mr.
great.
Christopher. Okay.
I will reach you later and thank you for tonight, Mr. Christopher.
All the best, guys. All right.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.